ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I am one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, we have another Robert Kirkman adaptation in the works. We'll get to that in the news. No trailer talk this week. The new to streaming, of course. It's the first week of the month, so lots coming. We'll get to the what we're watching, and then our main review for the episode is Candyman. 2021, that is, not the OG. But before we get to any of that, I'm joined today, of course, by He's Got a Hook for a Hand, Nathaniel Gingrich.
I mean, if I had a hook for a hand, it could mean a lot of things.
Pirate?
Yeah.
The pirate's immediately what I think of still, yeah. Mass murderer, it could be, one of those.
Sure.
Escaped asylum inmate. A guy.
What other uses we could use a hook for a hand for? I don't know.
You can be the guy from...
rock climbing, I assume it's probably pretty good for.
Rock climbing, yeah. Or ice climbing, like climbing glaciers.
Get
like
little axe ones.
Yeah, ooh. Now you're talking.
You can be the guy from the I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, yeah, the fisherman.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of fishermen have hooks for hands. It's probably good. I'd probably get really good at pool.
Okay. Would you, do you think you could, put a pool stick in your hand? Would that be legal?
I think I would turn my hand upside down so there'd be like a little hump, and then I would just use that
Okay.
as a fulcrum.
Fair. That's very fair. Also joining us today.
So yeah, there you go. Segue. Segue out of that one.
Also joining us today. He's just trying to do his laundry. It's Tyler Verdalis.
I don't mind doing laundry.
Really?
Yeah,
I hate it.
I don't mind it.
That's an
one of
adult
the
answer,
worst.
Ty.
You don't mind it because you don't pay for it now. Per
I mean,
load.
I still pay for it. Yeah, it's not per load, but even then, I never really minded doing laundry. It's just the walk.
Yeah, the walk is what kills it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if it was in unit.
Yeah.
And also now I can fucking I can leave it in there
Right.
if I wanted to.
True.
Clutch. Yeah, clutch.
I find folding laundry very zen. I like folding towels.
Yeah, I try to get my laundry done as soon as I can after it's done. I don't like to let it sit around. And I don't know if that's a controversial
I very
take.
much like to let mine sit around.
Once it's
I will build up large loads of laundry and then just do it all at once.
Yeah, no, I take
I
a long
find that
time
process
to let my laundry
cleansing.
build up.
I like to do more loads over the longer course of time,
It's probably healthier.
and then
I'm with Ty.
I put my stuff away immediately as soon as it's out of the
Oh
dryer.
yeah, that I
put it
agree
away.
with. That I agree with.
I'm with Ty.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier. I don't know what you thought. I meant once I'm done with the laundry, I try to put it away ASAP.
I just know it's controversial for some people that leave a load in the washer overnight, and they're like,
Well, it's not good for your clothes.
It's fine.
Makes them stinky.
It really maybe if you left
That's
them in
what
there
I've
for
heard.
3 hours or 3 days.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I've always been told if you leave it in there for more than 12 hours, it's not good.
yeah, that's fine.
Dryer's okay. Washer's not.
8 hours, just overnight while I'm sleeping, and then I'll just put it back in the dryer.
Yeah, that's fine.
What happens if bees get in it?
Then don't look in the mirror.
Speaking of bees, and rounding out the squadron, it's Big Buzz BlakeHolder.
What's up?
Bzz.
It could have been Big B Blake.
I like Big Buzz.
Are those wasps
Yeah.
or bees?
I don't know.
They're
I
bees.
think they're
Fellas.
bees. I think they're
They're
carpenter
definitely bees.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm
Can
basing
anyone
that
tell me the
entirely. Well, bees are a different insect than wasps.
What's the difference?
Bees
between
don't sting though.
Bees do sting.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, they
So
do.
yeah, I was like, that's a really dumb statement once I said it aloud.
Bees
What's the
sting.
difference?
Bees die though. Wasps don't after they sting.
Ah, okay.
And bees make honey. They do pollination. Wasps are just angry, evil creatures.
Ah,
Wasps are pricks.
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah.
Bees are cool.
They're like
Honeybees are hairy, while wasps are usually have smooth and shiny skin. Wasps are narrow-waisted, have 4 wings, and may be brightly colored with black and yellow patterns. I feel like that's true for both of them.
I'm sensing a deep dive for Blake on the YouTube documentary channel
man.
coming soon.
It's gonna come now. Yeah.
While honeybees can sting only once and die after attacking, a single wasp is capable of stinging multiple times. Well, there you have it.
Like a tracker jacker.
There are more differences here, but I don't want to go through them all.
Yeah.
It's for the spinoff.
Yeah.
Blake's Animal Time.
Yeah, I'll do some research on those fellas and
Big
maybe
cat
add
Blake,
in
right?
maybe add in hornets in there as well.
Yeah, sure.
So we can get 3 subspecies and
Tracker jackers.
Beedrills.
I got that reference. Don't worry, Ty.
I got it too.
I did not.
It's from Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Hunger
there you
Games.
Have you seen those, Blake?
I think I've only seen one of
We
those.
might have talked about this last week.
Yeah. I think I've only seen one.
They're on Netflix. They're fun.
Did we decide it was Netflix? I remember you
Are
weren't
they
sure where they
fun?
were.
I'm pretty sure it was.
There's a lot of child murder.
Maybe it's Hulu. I don't fucking know.
All right. Well, what I do know is that Jake Gyllenhaal is set to produce and star in the feature adaptation of Robert Kirkman's comic Oblivion song.
Okay.
What a transition. I didn't really know how to get out of there, but here we are.
I think that's a hard one to come into regardless.
What'd you say?
I said I think that's a hard one to come into regardless of what we were talking about.
Yeah, there's not a lot of ways to get into a new project announcement, but I did my best. Anyway, Jake Gyllenhaal, who friend of the pod, I would say. Blake, I think you have gone on record saying he's either your favorite actor or one of your favorite actors.
That would be a correct statement.
Favorite?
Yes.
All right. Bold statement,
Yes.
but there you have it. So he's on to produce and star in Robert Kirkman's Oblivion song. The synopsis of the story goes like this. Let me see if I can find it here in the story.
Give it to me. Talk to me about it.
It's in here somewhere. Why can't I find it?
Tell me more.
Okay, the comic, which Kirkman created with artist Lorenzo de Felici in 2018, takes place a decade after 300,000 citizens of Philadelphia were suddenly lost in a cataclysmic event named Oblivion. The government made every attempt to recover them, but after many years they gave up. But protagonist Nathan Cole hasn't, making daily trips to find those lost. So I am assuming that Jake Gyllenhaal will be playing Nathan Cole, the protagonist there. But this kind of sounds interesting. This sounds like some kind of post-apocalyptic sci-fi kind of
Definitely.
almost Blade Runner. I mean, if you look at the story, they have the image from one of the covers from the comic, and it definitely gives you those post-apocalyptic kind of vibes to it, and you get that obviously from the synopsis as well. But I'd be interested to see how they kind of adapt this to. It's going to be feature film rather than like
okay.
Invincible was animated or Walking Dead was a movie. This is going to be a feature film, so we'll see how they adapt it to the big screen in that way. Because Kirkman has only done, as far as I know, his projects have only really been coming out in
TV format?
series.
Yeah.
Series, because he has Walking Dead, Invincible, and then he's also got that Berserk comic with Keanu Reeves coming out. I believe that's also a one-season
there
series
was,
with Netflix, if I remember correctly.
And there was Outcast, I want to say. That was a show that was on Showtime or something like that. It was like a exorcism show. That was a series as well.
Yeah, so we'll see how they play this. I would be interested to see how maybe they played some kind of like reminiscent style. Like that's kind of honestly the vibe I'm getting a little bit from the cover here on the story. That kind of like setting and vibe.
You said it's
almost.
Philadelphia?
But it's in Philadelphia, correct? Not Miami.
Interesting.
But yeah, it looks like some kind of. It's still city escape from what I'm seeing here, but it's more cooler tones like
Did it
blues
say
and purples.
So it said that they just disappeared and then he's trying to get them back. Does it say where he's trying to get them back from? Like, are they in like a different void or something? I'm not familiar with this comic at all.
It doesn't say here. I'm not familiar either. In the description, all it says
Where
was
are they,
300
Robert?
300,000 citizens of Philadelphia were suddenly lost. So maybe they disappeared.
Did
I
they
can try to
check
find out
under
more.
the couch?
Maybe I could try to find a different description. that might give us a better idea here.
I like the idea that they're just lost somewhere, just in a field, maybe.
Just
Wikipedia gives the description as a supernatural science fiction story that chronicles Nathan Cole, a man who makes daily trips to try and rescue those still living in the apocalyptic hellscape of Oblivion, a part of Philadelphia lost a decade ago, along with 300,000 of its citizens.
Huh. Okay.
There are 5 chapters, it looks like, and then
Oh, okay. So that's very
two
movie
books.
length.
Yeah, and then 2 books, it looks like. So, and this is very recent. It looks like the last one came out in July of this year,
Okay.
and the first one being released in 2018. So, 3-year run here for the comic. I don't know the exact page length. It looks like there's 36 issues is actually what Wikipedia is showing here.
Okay.
So I would agree. Yeah, perfect feature-length film. Kind of size there. We'll see how much of the story they adapt. Obviously, that's going to remain to be seen. There's nothing really, no information on when this is set to go in production, other production details or anything. But this has just been announced as a future project.
Cool.
lit.
Yeah. So look out for that on the horizon. Who knows? Maybe probably about 2 or 3 years away. But always fun to see Jake Gyllenhaal. I've liked everything Robert Kirkman's kind of done. I've read most of the Walking Dead comics. Obviously, watched the TV show. Loved Invincible. Want to read the Invincible comics. Haven't got around to them yet. So I'm kind of in for this actually.
Alrighty then.
Well, that's gonna be it for the news today. Only one news story. No trailer talk this week. All the exciting trailers dropped last week. You go watch or go listen to last week's episode if you guys want any updates on that Spider-Verse trailer. Or sorry, No Way Home trailer.
Spider-Man.
AKA live-action Spider-Verse. And then other trailers as well. But it is time for Adam Schwartz's completely subjective new to streaming list for the week of August 29th through September 4th. We got the first 4 days of the month. These are usually the busiest ones because everything drops and all the new, licensing stuff comes in the first week usually. So I had to be a little extra subjective this week. There's actually a lot coming to these streaming services.
Interesting.
So there was a lot to pick out of. There were some that I was like, I could include this, but I don't really want to.
Well, there's a big list here, listeners.
Yeah,
I'm looking ahead.
It's still a big list.
Yeah.
So there's things I was like, maybe I could include this and decide not to. And there were just things like I had either never heard of or didn't think were worth checking out. But obviously, this is subjective. If you want to see the full list, you can do so just by searching new to streaming on these services. But to Netflix, we're getting Green Lantern, 2011
yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
Gross.
So we should all have a movie night for that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Why not?
And then we're getting Marshall. This is a courtroom biopic of Thurgood Marshall, the first ever black U.S. Supreme Court justice. Stars Chadwick Boseman, Josh Gad, and Kate Hudson. This was in 2017. This is one that slipped under my radar. I don't even really remember this coming out, but I know we've all kind of talked about Chadwick Boseman the past year and everything that he's done in his career. So, if you're looking for another Chadwick Boseman flick to check out, this is one coming to Netflix for you.
Cool.
Have any of you guys seen this?
I have not.
Nope.
Nope, I haven't.
Gotcha. Well, maybe it's worth checking out. That's going to be it for Netflix. For some reason, not a lot coming this month, but we'll see if that changes in the next couple weeks. To Amazon Prime, we're getting 500 Days of Summer, Arachnophobia, Daddy Daycare, a personal favorite of mine. That's one I watched a lot as a kid. I've actually watched that within the past 3 years. Still holds up.
Okay.
Still holds up. Then we're getting Daredevil 2003. That's the Ben Affleck one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so.
All right. Well, I haven't seen it. Is it worth checking out?
The director's cut I've heard is okay.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's better than Green Lantern.
Good point.
Okay, fair. But yeah, then that's Daredevil, and then Daredevil the director's cut, both come on Amazon Prime. Do the Right Thing. Grown Ups. I Know What You Did Last Summer. I Still Know What You're Doing Last Summer, and I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. All 3 coming to Amazon Prime.
Blake, you were ahead of the game there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Haven't seen the third one, though. Can't comment on that.
I mean, the first 2 was 97, 98, and then the third one's 2006.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that gap was. I don't know. I have not seen any of those. Were those worth checking out?
I don't think Nathaniel's seen any of those either.
I have
you kind
not,
of talked about that before in the store. Yeah, they're very Scream is what, 95?
96, I want to say.
96. Okay, so as you can see, Adam, they're right after the original Scream, so they're very like
pretty sure it's the
teen
same
slasher
writer.
horror. You know,
I'm pretty sure it's the same writer as Scream.
I do think you are correct. But there's some pretty notable cast in that. There's like Sarah Michelle Gellar, things of that nature. So yeah, they're 90 slashers. You know what I mean? They got a cult following. At least the first two. Third one, I couldn't tell you anything about.
All right. Also coming is Nacho Libre, Predators, Sleepless in Seattle, The A-Team, and The A-Team Extended Cut. A pod favorite, The Descent.
Heyo.
Ayo. The Last of the Mohicans, and The Social Network. That's going to round out the list for Amazon Prime. To Hulu, we're getting Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. One I have seen. It's been a long time, but I have seen that one. That's like one of the early classics that I actually have seen.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Edward Scissorhands from 1990. Gattaca. The Interview. Nixon. This is a biopic with Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, okay.
Came out in 95. It's a 3-hour long movie.
Yikes.
I looked it up on IMDb. It's 3 hours long. So, I mean, I don't know how good it is per se. I think it got like a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, something around there. So, if you're maybe interested in that, or maybe you've seen that, let us know how it is, if it's worth the recommendation. Also coming to Hulu is Office Space, The Ring, 2002, Road to Perdition, Slumdog Millionaire, Tim Burton's Corpse Bride, The Wrestler,
Great movie.
and then What We Do in the Shadows Season 3 premiere.
Have
any of you guys seen that show?
I tried the series. I didn't love it.
Really?
I watched like the first 2 episodes, maybe. I really enjoyed the documentary, or the movie.
The mockumentary.
Yeah, but I just didn't love the show that much.
Okay, I actually recently watched this. I'd never put on the What We're Watching because whenever I would go hang out with my friends, they just started putting that on, and we actually watched like the first full 2 seasons. But I wasn't like paying like super close attention to it, so I didn't want to talk about it that much. But from what I saw, I really liked it. I thought it was really really funny. So I might go back, and once I'm done with How I Met Your Mother, and maybe go back and watch all 3 seasons. That's going to round out the list for Hulu. To HBO Max, we're getting The Benchwarmers, Cloverfield, The Evil Dead and The Evil Dead 2, The Goonies, also getting Green Lantern 2011, and then all 8 Harry Potter films are returning to HBO Max.
They're back, baby.
They're back, baby. I think they were on Peacock.
Just in
for a
time.
little bit.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah. And then also to HBO Max is King Kong 2005, the extended version. If that movie could get any longer, it has. And then Oblivion from 2013. That's that Tom Cruise one. I think we talked about that in the last.
That is always on the store demo.
Yeah, we've been playing that movie a lot recently at the
Really?
store.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. Is that good? Do you guys like it? Blake, you said it was good.
Oh, no. Adam, I think you're thinking of
Tomorrow.
help me
Tomorrow
today.
never dies when today is tomorrow.
Yes.
No, isn't Oblivion?
Edge of Tomorrow.
Isn't that not Tom Cruise?
They're both Tom Cruise.
They are, but yeah, you're thinking of the latter.
No, we've started also playing Oblivion a lot at the store.
I like Oblivion. I think it's a cool concept.
I've not actually watched it except just having it on at the store.
Yeah, I've only seen it kind of like in different shots.
It kind of
No,
reminds me of
haven't sat
Destiny,
down in one.
like as a video game, as a
It's
movie.
by the guy that did Tron Legacy, who's also doing.
I like it.
He's doing the new Top Gun too.
Ah,
At least I'm
okay.
pretty sure that's him. If that movie's ever coming out.
And then rounding out the list for HBO Max is Transformers 2007.
Sweet.
To Disney
R.I.P.
Plus.
Bernie Mac.
He's still the funniest bit of that entire franchise.
Oh, bust
And
your
he's in-
head,
Salesman in the first one.
Oh my God,
rock.
he is.
Yep. R.I.P. man.
All right, well, to Disney Plus, we're getting Marvel's What If Episode 4, a new Marvel Studios Legends trailer. This one's going to be covering the 10 Rings. So basically prepper for Shang-Chi. I kind of need to start checking these out, I think. They seem actually really interesting.
Well, maybe you can start with this one.
Maybe I will, because I need to learn a lot more about Shang-Chi. These are
I was saying,
like they're getting to a lot of heroes I just have never even heard of.
Yeah, I've not really heard of. I don't know how much the 10 Rings have really shown up, so it'd be interesting to hear what they would say about that.
Yeah. Then we're also getting Tomorrowland, and then X-Men, Dark Phoenix.
Ooh, they're just gonna slide that one on there.
Yeah, the one everyone's been waiting for. Dark Phoenix. Is that the last one they did?
Technically New Mutants is, I think. But since that came out under Disney, sort of.
Yeah.
Dark Phoenix was the last one that
I don't know.
Fox saw out the door themselves.
Yeah. I remember that one getting terrible reviews.
Yeah, New Mutants was really bad. I watched that, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago or so. Did any of you guys see Dark Phoenix?
No.
Okay.
I heard it was awful.
Yep, same here.
All right. Well, maybe don't check it out. All right. Well, that's going to do it for the subjective new to streaming list for this week.
So subjective.
Time to get into the what we're watching. What maybe off the subjective list have we been watching? I'm going to toss it over to Nathaniel, our resident what if expert, as he's the only one that's been keeping up. Have you kept up to episode 3?
Yes, I have.
Tell us about it.
It was a fun one. This one was kind of, I'll keep it brief. This one's more of a murder mystery kind of episode this week. Someone is going around assassinating different people who either are or will become Avengers. And it's kind of deciding who that is and trying to figure out who that is, while simultaneously Loki is starting to invade and everything that goes on with that. So, yeah, it was an interesting episode. I'm getting a little bit more used to the animation, I will say. I still find it a little bit jarring every now and then, particularly with, like, they seem to be pretty almost loose with who they like follow, which actors they create a character that, and how similar they are to that actor seems to be very kind of mix and match. So a lot of times you almost have like a voice that you recognize with the recognizable actor, like Samuel L. Jackson and Nick Fury, and then other times they'll do like the Hulk or the Bruce Banner character in this episode was almost like a weird mix of both Edward Norton and Mark Ruffalo, but was still voiced by Mark Ruffalo. And then you'll have like the Chris Evans characters, which look exactly like Chris Evans, but aren't voiced by Chris Evans or something. So there's like this weird uncanny valley that happens every now and then. But other than that, I'm still enjoying it.
Yeah,
I like them.
Odd.
Are you watching? Have you been keeping up?
I have. I caught up. I watched all 3.
What do you think of Ty?
I think they're great. Everyone kind of took a shit on the first one. I didn't really mind the first one. And then the second one was great.
I really like the second one.
Yeah, the second one was awesome. And then, this one I thought was pretty cool. I like the outcome. I like the overall stories. It's really cool because you just kind of... everything is out the window.
Right, yeah.
It just doesn't matter. So it's pretty crazy.
They do go to some very interesting places, I would say.
Yeah, they go to a lot of places that I did not think that there would be a place to go.
There was also a murder on this week's episode that I was like, whoa, that seemed like pretty violent there, friends. But yeah, overall, been enjoying them.
Cool. I'll get around to them eventually. I just have been very busy.
Yeah, I have a sneaky suspicion that they're going to try and like tie these in somehow to the upcoming kind of big event that seems to be on the horizon. 4. Yeah. But we'll see. Also on the list this week, I actually watched Spider-Man Far From Home after kind of ending last week's episode on the trailer, which if you didn't listen last week, we actually had the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer drop during the middle of last week's episode. So we got to kind of react live. But yeah, based on that, I wanted to rewatch the second one. It's been a while since I saw it, and it still holds up pretty well. Yeah, if you've watched Marvel, most of you that are listening to us, you know what you're in for there. But good to see Tom Holland. He's always really, really good with these. I really like, speaking of Jake Gyllenhaal, I like Jake Gyllenhaal's performance in that movie quite a bit. I think he's pretty great.
I love what
as
they
Mysterio.
did with his Magneto.
Magneto.
Yeah,
He'd
my
be
bad.
a cool
my bad.
Magneto too,
Mysterio.
though. I'd be down for a Jake Gyllenhaal Magneto. Yeah, I really like his character and kind of like the way he plays that character and the relationship he has with Peter, and then how that obviously changes and you get that great turn and that sense of betrayal in it. It's just a really well done movie, and I'm excited that this is going to be a trilogy all by the same director. Once this is done, and then he gets Fantastic Four too, which will be nice as well. So, yeah. So one thing I watched this week that wasn't a movie or a TV show, but was streamed, was actually I watched Kanye West's performance of Donda over the past weekend. That was at Soldier Field.
Soldier Field, right?
Yeah. So that was streaming on Apple TV, and it was I want to say it was Thursday night or something like that. I remember because it was a weird night. And like we didn't really have anything on, and Waz and I were just there. And then like we turned it on. And I knew it was gonna play. It was gonna come on late, anyways. So it was like 10 o'clock, and like within 5 minutes the show started, and so I got to kind of check that out, and that was really cool. So I don't know. Have you guys listened to the album yet or anything, or have you been kind of keeping track of the Donda saga?
I have been keeping track of the Donda saga. I have not listened to the album in its entirety. I've heard probably 5 songs.
Okay.
Don't like what I heard, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I don't love it. But I have to give the whole album a listen through. I just haven't yet. So that's not my final judgment. Maybe I'll come back on what we're listening to next week and give a full report back. But I don't love it personally from what I've heard so far.
Are you a Kanye fan?
Not a huge one.
Okay.
Overall, I was talking about this with a buddy the other day who loves Kanye, but overall, I like a lot of his music, but he misses pretty hard for me a lot of the times too.
Interesting.
He's so hit or miss for me on almost every single song. So like some albums, I would say most of his albums, I end up liking only half of it, but like loving that half. It's
Sure.
just very weird for me, my relationship with Kanye and how I interact with that music. He does a lot of experimental stuff that I just don't really love, but at the same time, it pays off a lot in the songs that I do. So it's very odd, but yeah, I would kind of consider myself a Kanye fan, but I'm not like a diehard one that follows his every move, you know?
I think he's a polarizing figure, and
He is.
knows that and continues to play into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw some of this stuff. Obviously, I knew he was going to do that live show in Chicago. I haven't got a chance to play the album yet, though. Heard there's some interesting guests on there, though. Have you got the chance to play the entire album, Nathaniel?
I have not listened to the whole thing yet, no. There are like a ton of guests from what I've heard, too. But
Yeah.
also, Apple Music is doing this weird thing where they don't like... It's really hard to tell who's all on every song, too. And then when they were performing it, well, they weren't really performing it. You were just kind of listening to it. And then he would bring out different people that featured on the album on to the quote-unquote stage. But then it was like most of them were in masks or in really big sunglasses. And I'm not as familiar with today's artists as I would have been 5 or 10 years ago. And I was like, oh, I don't know who a lot of these people are off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, there were people that obviously like you recognized. Marilyn Manson was there, but
Okay.
yeah, it was interesting. It was cool. I liked it. It was worth the watch, I think. And I thought it was cool that it was just on Apple Music. Like you could just stream it, anywhere in the world. You weren't kind of, you didn't have to go somewhere to have it or anything like that. And that was pretty neat.
Sure.
What else did I get to? So I watched the original Candyman, the 90.
Hey.
God, what was that? 92. What year was that? I don't remember.
I think it's 92. I remember looking it up today.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's 92.
Yeah, so that was, I actually bought that on Apple Music. I had seen it once before in college. And man, yeah, it's effective. Still good. Still hits those notes really well. Tony Todd, what else you got to say? Virginia Madsen's really great in it. It's a great movie.
Would you say it's still worth like going back and watching?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Cool.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. Definitely worth. I mean, I think it's worth the $10 of buying it. But you know, obviously that's your money. It's up to you how you spend it.
Was there a rent option, or did you have to buy it?
I'm pretty sure you could rent it. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a lot of imagery in that's you know, like within the graffiti in that movie that isn't really played as much in this version, and I think we'll maybe talk about that a little bit more later. But there's just some really cool work with everything that's going on with that, and like it feels very Chicago, and very lived in, and very I don't know, raw in a lot of ways too. But yeah, it's a great movie. What else did I get to this week? So there's a series called CB Strike. You can watch it on HBO Max. It's a adaptation of a book series called the Cormoran Strike, Cormoran Strike, or just the Strike series, about a private detective in London and kind of what his firm, and there are some investigations that he gets into and everything. But it's written by J.K. Rowling. It's her other series, and obviously she's in been a little bit of a hot water lately for being kind of an idiot, but she can still write well. And they made an adaptation of that series and put it on, I think, like Cinemax or something like that, but it's on HBO Max right now. So I've been catching up with that a little bit, and it's good. If you like kind of detective stories or anything like that, and are just interested in something, maybe you watched Reminiscence last week and are kind of interested in more updated noir or something like that, check that one out. I watched that Bob Ross documentary on Netflix that week came out.
I was wondering how that was.
Yeah, it's I found it kind of annoying, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I believe that there is, so like it's, I think, what is it called? Like Bob Ross, Happy Accidents, Greed and Betrayal, or something like that.
Yes.
And it's set up as this kind of story, the story of Bob Ross and kind of who he is told by his son and a couple of his friends and everything. And then they talk about how basically he after his passing, the people that his associates who he was working with have kind of taken over his name and now are profiting off of the Bob Ross name, and his son is not. And it's very much from the son's perspective. It sounds like he has a very intriguing case, and it's pretty clear that what Bob Ross's intentions were and how they're not necessarily being met. But it's built as this like true crime, like great discovery, things you didn't know, and it just doesn't feel like it's that much of the story. You know what I mean? Like it feels like some parts are like exaggerated, or there's a pretty real feeling of hyperbole. At least that's what I was reading into it, and maybe it's just because it feels like there's been so many of these kind of true crime style documentary expose things over the past few years, but this one felt sort of formulaic, if that makes sense, and almost like they were kind of trying to make things fit a formula in some ways.
Maybe a little cookie cutter.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just feel a little jaded at this point, but it just it didn't quite hit where I was kind of expecting it to, I would say.
Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I think so. I had some experience with Bob Ross, growing up. I guess I don't know, Tyler. You were probably more in the generation that might have seen more of him or anything like that. But it's a pretty decent documentary about him. It's also like pretty light hands, pretty light-handed in terms of kind of how it treats him and his legacy overall. And there seems to be a couple moments where I was like, okay, you're making we're kind of glossing over a few things here and there. But yeah, I'd say check it out.
Are you calling me fucking old?
No. But I'm saying, out of everyone on the squadrant, you're the one with the most experience in the world, my friend.
In art.
Yeah,
you are right.
in art.
Yes, indeed. No, I don't remember shit about Bob Ross.
All right, fair enough. Beyond that, I got to one other thing this week, and that was 1 Hour Photo. So have you guys heard of this movie at all?
Maybe I just go to Walgreens a lot. I don't know.
Could be. Adam, anything with this?
No, I haven't really seen much.
Okay, so this is actually a movie that came out. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. It's in the 90s. It's by a guy named Mark Romanek, and it stars Robin Williams. It was 2002, 2002. And so he plays the clerk at a 1 hour photo booth in it's basically like a Walmart or just a large superstore. And he slowly becomes obsessed with one of the families who is one of his longtime customers there, and begins to kind of like stalk them, sort of. It's a father, a wife, and a son, and it's just kind of his story. I'll read you the IMDb summary here real quick for you folks. A mentally unstable photo developer targets a middle-class family after his obsession with them becomes more sick and disturbing than any of them could imagine. That makes it sound like very grisly. It's not very grisly, I would say, but it is definitely uncomfortable. Robin Williams is really good in it. He's like peak Robin Williams, I would say. It's very much that 2002 kind of post-Matrix vibe in some ways, which makes sense. Mark Romanek was also a music video director at the time, before kind of doing more feature films and everything. The cast is all pretty decent in it, but man, this movie made me just go, oh man, no, oh my God, they're doing this, oh no, like so much more than any gory, grisly, evil like slasher movie in the last 5 years. It's on, I want to say it was on HBO Max or something. I watched it on one of the streaming services. Might have been Amazon Prime, but definitely a recommend for Blake and Adam, Adam getting into a little bit more kind of horror, and Blake as a horror aficionado.
Okay.
And that's it for me. That's all I watched this week.
Your
Popcorn Blake.
Yeah, I'll follow up. My week was pretty short, and obviously kind of due to travel. So the lone movie I got to was Candyman from 1992.
Fair enough.
So purchased that, watched it on the plane ride to Phoenix. So that
How does a horror movie like that hold up on a plane?
I actually thoroughly liked it, and I think that's saying a lot considering I rewatched it on a plane with like headphones on, and I still liked it, and I think I'll have some better thoughts once we get into spoilers for the new one. But yeah, man, I would encourage anybody who hasn't seen the original to at least try to do some due diligence and watch the original, either prior to watching 2021 or watch 2021, then say go back and see if you can find the original. It definitely. There's definitely a lot of ties between the two films.
For sure.
Yeah, that's all there is on my end. We'll do some more talking once we get to spoilers.
Popcorn.
We'll pass it over to Adam.
Cool. I don't have a super long list, but I will start off with How I Met Your Mother. Keeping along with that. Still on season 7, I think. I think I just started season 7 last week when we recorded, and I'm kind of closer to the end now. So chugging along with that. Still got 2 full seasons to go through. Kind of wishing I was just done at this point, but I'm gonna, finish it off.
It'll come back around.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to grind it out. Haven't loved this 7th season. This has been the first one where I'm like, this is just isn't as good as just isn't very good. Seasons 1 through 6, I loved all of them. This season hasn't been the best for me. But you know, like I said, I'll stick it out. I'm excited to get to that 9th season because I do remember it being pretty good. And then I can just move on to another show because I just felt like I really need to finish.
You
this at
sound
this point.
ready.
Yeah. So, but I'm still liking it. We'll get through that. I went back and started season 2 of Ted Lasso. I'm fully caught up. Did you forget that on your list?
Oh yeah, I mean I'm week to week, so
Okay.
I'm watching them as they come out. How do you feel?
I'll probably be week to week from here on out.
Yeah, you're back in.
I'm back in. Oh yeah.
Was there ever any doubt?
No, there's never any doubt. Oh, I knew it was gonna be great.
Yeah.
I had full confidence. I think there's 6 episodes out now in the second season.
Yeah, I want to say so.
6, yeah, 5 or 6. I loved every single one. They do some fun theme things. They have a Christmas episode, and they have some like Harry Met Sally.
There's a whole rom-com episode.
Yeah, exactly. Mixed into one episode. Some new characters that they added. The doctor character that they added, I think, is a very nice addition to kind of at least switch up the dynamic, so it's not the same thing as the first season. I like what they're doing with the characters from the first season, and changing their roles, kind of.
Yeah, avoid spoilers as much as you can here. I don't think Tyler's updated.
I have not.
But this show is still really, really funny. Jason Sudeikis carries it. I won't even say he carries it. He's great, but all the other performances are still really good. So I don't want to say he carries it, but like he's a highlight for me for sure.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's great in it. And so this is still, we talked about it before. We'll probably say it again. This is definitely like a 10 out of 10 recommend. This is something that I feel like almost everybody should be watching if you have Apple TV or have access to it. It's a really, really good show.
It's in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, something that I found hilarious as I was watching this, and I noticed in the first season, but like all the characters walk around with their iPhones in their hand.
Yeah, that's very.
It's just like they don't even, and they'll use the phones often, and that's fine. You know, characters can use phones in shows. That's pretty common. But like, the characters will just be talking, and they'll just be holding their iPhone like 12 Pro in their hand, just like flashing it, and it's just very obvious.
Well, yeah, I guess that makes sense, huh?
Yeah, it does. But hey, it's not something that bothers me. I love iPhone anyway, so it's just like, oh, cool. But it was just something I noticed as I was watching. And then I've started classes again, and that means another film class. So that means another weekly update on what I've been watching this semester. So week 1, this is going to be my film history class. So covering from 1940 to modern day cinema. So starting it out in like
with the talkies?
First 2 weeks. Sorry, what'd you say?
I said, so are you starting with the talkies then? Or...
Not starting with the talkies. No, I feel like that's pre-1940.
Oh yeah, I guess that is more like 1920s.
Yeah.
So
there was a history class I could either take like from 1880 to like 1940, or I could take 1940 to modern day. I did not want to go back and watch all those silent films.
Fair enough.
So yeah, starting it off in the 40s, 50s, 60s for the first 2 weeks, I believe, and I think maybe even 3 weeks. I think we watched movies from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever it ends up being. But this week we focused a little bit on the blacklist, the Hollywood blacklist that came out in the 50s during the Cold War, and how that affected the Hollywood industry, but it was also like how it affected acting and stuff like that, and how the method acting came about, and acting kind of evolved in that time frame.
Stanislavski's method.
Exactly, all about Stanislavski, yeah, and the I think it was the Actors Studio or something like that.
Yep, in New York.
Yep. So learned all about that. But the movie we watched for that was A Place in the Sun. This is 1951, featuring. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. Featuring Montgomery Clift, Elizabeth Taylor, and Shelley Winters. Directed by I believe it's Elia Kazan.
Elia
Kazan. Have you seen this, Nathaniel?
I have not.
Oh, okay. It is actually directed by George Stevens. I think in one of my lectures, my professor may have said it was directed by Kazan, so that's where I got that from. But IMDb says different. But regardless, You've not seen this?
I have not. No. I confess my 1940s movie knowledge is not the best, but this sounds interesting. Tell me more.
Yeah, I can read the IMDb summary. It's a poor boy gets a job working for his rich uncle and ends up falling in love with two women.
Ooh,
And
drama.
And there's a lot of drama, but I don't want to say too much more because there's actually I went in there not really knowing anything about the story, and it actually it went places that I had not expected, and I think it's actually really good if you kind of go into it that way. But I liked it a lot. Montgomery Clift was kind of the actor that we were focusing on because he was one of the early method actors. So good performance there. I actually found myself pretty invested in the movie. Very interesting to see that early cinematography, the longer shots and everything.
You found a movie before 1970?
Yes.
You enjoyed.
I enjoyed it. Listeners, you may remember I have been on record on this podcast very early on stating that a movie before 1970 will never make it into my top 10. I've since withdrawn this statement. I believe I did last year during one of my film classes when we watched two of the Hitchcock movies. I think A Rear Window was one that I really enjoyed. I don't know if or when a movie before 1970 will make into like a top 10 of mine. I don't know if that will happen, but
it's at least a possibility.
Enjoy. It's more of a possibility than it used to be, but I've learned to enjoy that kind of those older films and those older styles for sure. So if my professor's listening, yes, I will not be biased the rest of the semester.
Hey, maybe it'll make a great story by the end of the semester. You'll get to say, early on, I referenced on my podcast that I never believed I would have this, and then you can tell this story.
I think that's the great beginning to my thesis paper.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. And then the last thing I watched was Spa, baby. Formula One. Woke up at 7 a.m. to watch this race that started at 8. Nathaniel, it is on ESPN Plus, actually.
Oh, can you find it now?
Yeah, you can get. Yeah, that's where me and my roommate watched it.
No,
Well,
but does one of you pay for Xfinity?
I do, yes.
So that's because you have cable provider.
It's not true ESPN Plus then, is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah, I only have ESPN Plus. I only use Xfinity for the interwebs. I don't have cable.
That makes sense. Okay. Then maybe maybe not then. Regardless, woke up 7 a.m., hyped for this race. Finally gonna watch my first F1 race live.
It's in the rain. It's guaranteed to be crazy. It's been a crazy qualifying.
I see practice day and qualifying day are all rainy. Shit's about to go down in Spa in the Ardennes Forest, and it gets rained out.
Sure does.
And so we got up at 7. Race was supposed to start at 8, and then it was like, oh, we're delaying it 5 minutes, another 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then an hour goes by. We had both fallen asleep because we were both really tired. We woke up. The race still hadn't started. They had tried a practice lap and then decided the conditions were too poor, and so we went and got breakfast, came back, and then they tried to race again, and then they just decided to cancel it. But
not
because
really.
Because they raced 2 laps behind the safety car, they counted the race as half points, and Ty's boy Max Verstappen got first place.
Number 1, baby.
Back into the lead.
No, he's actually, I think, still
He's
3
still
points
second,
out from
yeah.
Hamilton.
Oh, my bad. Shows how much I paid attention to the half-point situation.
No, you're all right. You're all right.
More importantly, George Russell got points.
Yeah, George
And a
Russell got
podium.
his first pole. Kind of a weird way to do it, but hey.
First
Congrats,
podium, not pole.
And Max
Pole,
did just get him on
podium, my
pole.
bad.
He would have gotten, if he had pole, he would have won.
He would have.
Yeah. So that was still kind of fun.
Yeah, was it heartbreaking? Were you bummed?
I was very bummed. All I wanted to hear was, and they're racing in Spa. I was just so excited. But you know, it is what it is. I'll watch next week if I
I was
can.
gonna say, at least you don't
what time
have
the race is at.
too long to wait.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the rest of the season is gonna come and go pretty fast. Looks like I was looking at the schedule. It's every week now, right?
More or less. I think there might be 1 or 2 weeks where they're off. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited.
I am excited.
I'll get one of those F1 races in someday.
What if you were the Jinx? What if
What if there's never an F1 race ever again?
or the only time there is like times when you can't be there to
When
watch.
I can't watch it?
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. I would start like taking bets.
Our
rigging-
podcast would
I'd start
suddenly would
rigging
get
bets for
so
people.
popular all of a sudden.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'd see a huge boost in viewership. All right. Well, that's it for my what we're watching. What we're watching list. Tyler, why don't you finish us off here?
Sure there, bud. Breaking Bad finished. Check.
In the
Ooh.
books.
El
Yep.
Camino.
Coming to a living room near you soon, Carolia.
TBD.
Okay.
So yeah, that was great. Not my first run through. She thought it was really great.
Not my first rodeo.
So yeah, it was great. It's Breaking Bad.
Where does that rank on your list of all-time
TV
series?
shows?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely probably in like top 15.
Okay, but not like
No, it's not like because
The
like
Not up
I,
there,
I
up
do.
there.
I got
Circle.
an anime,
true.
and
Ooh,
if you're a
good
true anime fan,
We're
there's
just gonna
just
gatekeep this one
so
right here.
much that is available.
True. True.
So can't.
Or I mean, just any international fan or anything where you've got
Yeah.
a wide breadth of things you watch. You watch a lot of stuff, so you got a lot of choices.
Facts. So yeah, we had to have something new to start, and we started Chernobyl,
So not Will and Grace.
Oh,
not Will and Grace.
Chernobyl is awesome.
Yeah, we hadn't seen it, and we thought it was a good thing, and it was actually Leah's suggestion because we were laying in bed, and she's like, "I got a new show I want to watch."
Really?
And I was like, "I'm not doing Will and Grace," and she's like, "It's not Will and Grace," and I was like, "All right, cool." So, yeah, she said Chernobyl, so it's been great. We burned through the first 3 episodes, so we only got 2 more, but so far I am very pleased with the writing, the acting, and the overall accuracy, and it's just done really, really well.
It's very accurate, except everyone has a British accent.
Correct.
Yeah, that's very odd. And also, they combine like a team of scientists into one character.
Yeah, the female character.
The female character, exactly.
Yeah.
But they had to kind of for obviously writing and character
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah.
But besides that, it seems pretty accurate.
She's
That
really
show
great in
is
it too.
incredible.
Yeah, so I've been very pleased with that, and so is Leah. So
And how many episodes did you say you guys watched?
3, so 2 more.
Okay.
Those
Okay.
Yep. I caught
That's
up.
when I wish it wasn't a limited series and like they could just drag that on for seasons because it was just so good.
Yeah, it's been great so far.
Harrowing.
So
Very.
Oh yeah,
That movie.
no, heroin
those
is
first 2
bad.
episodes are just
they're
relentless.
horrifying.
Yeah.
Blake, you seen Chernobyl? Are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I haven't seen the TV series. I have seen the film though, from what is like 2012.
Chernobyl Diaries, the
Yeah,
the
That
found
movie
footage
fucking
one.
sucks. But I haven't seen the show. They say the show's pretty good.
That's got to be the basis for your found footage sucks theory. Back from early Back Row days.
I saw the Paranormal Activities prior to that though.
True.
So you kind of have to put that in perspective. But yeah, I mean that and the original Cloverfield are up there.
Fantastic.
Tell me more about your list, Tyler.
Caught up on Bad Batch. That's been really great. I still think I'm gonna do a full blown rewatch. Just binge the whole thing in like 2 days.
So you watched 15 and 16?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, report back when you do the rewatch.
I will. But yeah,
How did you feel?
the
How did you
class.
feel though with the finale?
I'm great. It feels good. It feels good.
Okay,
Yeah,
like it.
Will that have a second season?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. If it doesn't, I'll be surprised.
But it's set up for
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, after you finish the first season, how do you feel like that compares to the Clone Wars?
Clone Wars is still just it's gonna be better until I think they have that much. It's gonna be really hard because they don't have that big of a track, and I don't think they can build that big of a piece off this. Which I get it is supposed to be a spin-off, so I don't really expect it to be that. But overall, I think it still serves a purpose. So Disney's doing a lot of this whole branching out thing within the same area, so
Certainly.
they're doing a
are.
really good job so far.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight.
Oh.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, I was just like, man, it was funny too because we got done watching Chernobyl, and then on I was like, let's just throw this on, just something to have on, and I was like, this is such a good fucking movie.
It was so good, man.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So, and then Leah and I were obviously praising the one and only Heath. And so, yeah, it's, man, just absolutely incredible.
That's a movie I'll like never. If someone wants to watch it, I will never turn them down.
No, especially that opening scene.
Yeah, that opening scene.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, like I mentioned earlier, very loudly, and I watched What If.
What if?
Cool.
Yeah, and those
Round out your list?
those have been really great so far. But yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. Well, we all also watched Candyman 2021. Welcome, listener. The main review segment here at Back Row Banter. Nathaniel, can you give them a rundown of how a review segment works if they are new or maybe they've forgotten?
Well, yes, sir, I can. The way I will give you the rundown, and the rundown goes like this. Can you give me that rundown? Oh, that was an Office joke, wasn't it? With Idris Elba telling Jim to get him the rundown. Sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I forget that Idris Elba was just on that show for like half a season.
Yeah, for like a season.
Yeah.
He was on it for way longer than I ever remembered.
Anyways, the rundown, it goes like this. Our main review segment is broken into two different sections. There is the non-spoiler segment, and then there's the spoiler segment. They're pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler segment, we will go over the movie's IMDb page, kind of what year it came out in, any relevant information, directors, writers, cast, crew, and then we'll go a little bit, or excuse me, did I say we'll talk about the summary? We'll talk about the IMDb summary, then we'll rank it on there. It's kind of a fun time. We'll go into our initial thoughts. Everyone's got to go around and decide, do they recommend this movie, yes or no? Has to be a choice, or has to be a firm yes or a no. Can't be anything else. From then on, it's going to be spoilers. We'll go into our deeper thoughts, any big revelatory moments, and we'll bring everyone back to see where it ranks on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything ranked. Adam,
Cool.
Tell me more.
Yeah, this is Candyman, a new movie in the year 2021, rated R, with an hour and 31-minute runtime, a nice little sweet spot there. Directed by Nia DaCosta, who I really was checking out her IMDb, hasn't actually done a lot before this.
This is her second or third movie, and then she's
she has 7 directing credits.
Okay.
She 2 of which
Feature
are
movie, I should say.
One is The Marvels. She's doing the sequel to
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, yes. For MCU. So she's got that, and then another movie called The Lincoln Conspiracy. So really only like 5 actual credits of things that have come out. One of which is actually a Candyman short, which I was looking into that a little bit, and it's basically she made a short of, and it's in the trailers, those little silhouettes that you see in the trailer and in the movie. I guess she made that as a short, and maybe it was kind of her pitch for this.
Cool.
So yeah, she did that, but besides that, not much else. So kind of a first, at least from what I can tell, her first kind of spotlight picture. But she does a good job with it. It's going to be written by Jordan Peele, Wynn Rosenfeld, and Nia DaCosta. All 3 of them have their writing credits there. So Jordan Peele was producing and also had his hand in the screenplay, which I feel like you can definitely tell at certain points. It doesn't feel like it is solely his writing, because it's not, in my opinion, doesn't feel as tight as Get Out and even Us. But you could still tell that he's there, kind of adding in his little opinions here and there. The cast includes the lead with dude, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Yahya Abdul Mateen II.
I believe that is correct. Yahya Abdul Mateen II.
Okay, good. I didn't want to stomp on that one too much. He's been in quite a few things, actually. Probably most notable in, he was in Aquaman. He's in Us. He has an episode in Black Mirror.
He's really great in Watchmen.
Blake, do you remember that conversation we had about the Striking Viper episode with Anthony Mackie at Best Buy? It's the video game one. It's the fighting game one.
Oh, yeah. Is that him?
Yeah, that's him. That's the guy.
That
that's the guy.
is. Yeah. That's a really good observation, dude. That didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, I saw that on his IMDb, and I saw the Striking Vipers. And I remember me and Blake had a deep conversation about that episode when it came out.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, but then he was also in the Watchmen TV series.
Yeah, he's great.
That just came out, and then he was in the Trial of the Chicago 7, which was a critically acclaimed film from last year. So he's been around. I don't know if this is like his first ever like actual huge lead role, but this is one of the first main things I've seen him in. But he's been around. He's got some credits. And then also joining him on the cast is Teyana Paris, who most people and most listeners will recognize her as Roshem, or not, no, what's her name? Rambeau, Monica Rambeau from WandaVision, and I guess sort of Captain Marvel, since she's like the younger version, but she's not in Captain Marvel. But in WandaVision, she plays Monica Rambeau, who she got a big part there. And then she's also obviously got other credits, but that's the main thing I feel like most people would know her from as of late. And then rounding out the cast, you have Nathan Stewart Jarrett, Coleman Domingo from Euphoria, and he's been in, I think, he was in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and he might be in one other movie that we review.
He's a favorite of yours, isn't he?
Sorry?
I said he's a favorite of yours.
Yeah, I love him. I love it. I've loved him ever since he played Ali in Euphoria, and I want to see that character back. But everything I've seen him in since, I've just been like, oh, it's that guy. Oh, he's awesome, and I think he's great in every role that he comes in. Those are kind of the main supporting casts. Not too many others that I recognize, unless I'm missing any. Nathaniel, obviously Tony Todd. Kind of reprises his role in some aspects.
Correct. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. The IMDb summary reads as follows. A sequel to the horror film Candyman 1992 that returns to the now gentrified Chicago neighborhood where the legend began.
Correct.
So while that is true, if you aren't familiar with the story of the original Candyman or this one, this storyline essentially follows, it's kind of like a Bloody Mary situation. There's a legend of a creature hunter man named Candyman who, if you say his name 5 times in the mirror, will come and kill you. This is kind of central to Chicago. It's a local legend rather than like a well-known one. Mm-hmm. So it's not something that is supposed to be kind of everybody knows really. And It seems from the trailers you kind of get the vibes too that it's not something that a lot of people even remember in Chicago, and that the main character here is rediscovering that story. As far as the synopsis of the actual plot in this movie goes, the main character, played by Yaya, his name is Anthony McCoy. In the movie, he is an artist who is, like I said, kind of rediscovering the urban legend through his art, but then things kind of take a turn. It turns out he's attached to that story in ways he didn't think, and it kind of goes from there as the legend comes back to haunt the neighborhood.
Correct.
Anything else you guys want to add there?
No, I think that pretty much nailed it there, bud.
Cool.
No, you're spot on.
Awesome. Initial thoughts here, guys. I'm going to kick it over to Tyler and Blake, who had a not so organized viewing together.
Yeah. Yeah, so me and Ty, we saw this today for prospective listeners at 5:30. So, I mean,
you're coming fresh to this
film for literally like 35 minutes and started recording. So it's good.
And
I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like it more than the original. I was trying to gather my thoughts. Yeah. It's good. I don't think I like it more than the original. But it's definitely for a horror remake, right, or a horror sequel of 20 plus years, like those are usually like fucking horrible.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like when I put it in that perspective, I'm like, okay, I like it. But then when I compare it to the original film and just kind of that atmosphere and how eerie that one is, I think I like the 92 version so much more.
You know, Adam, you're going to be kind of the only one who I don't think has seen the original Candyman. So I'll be interested to hear your thoughts as well. Ty, what did you... Sorry, Blake, do you have any more kind of...
No, you're good, bro.
Initial things, too, before we kind of swing back around for recommend, yes or no?
No, you're good, bro.
Ty, you were there with Blake. What did you think?
I thought it was okay. I didn't think anything was overly that great. I prefer the first one more as well. As far as a horror movie goes, even with somebody that doesn't typically get scared too often anymore from horror movies. There are still horror movies that I like, even though I may have seen them on a repetitive basis, that I still think do a better job of either building some kind of suspense or giving me some kind of chills down my spine. Even if I could watch Paranormal Activity right now and still get kind of like an eerie feeling and be like, fuck that. Whereas like this was, kind of, it's pretty predictable for the most part, but other than that, it was still okay. Acting was really well. I like anything that Jordan Peele really does or has his hands in. Obviously, he didn't do this thing in directing wise, but he obviously had a creative standpoint throughout the movie. So I like what he does and kind of what he has to say. And so yeah, other than that, it was okay.
Adam, as the one that hasn't seen the original Candyman, what did you feel coming out of it?
I liked it. I don't love it. I kind of agree with Tyler. Nothing really like stood out to me per se in this film, but it's still good. That does not really necessarily, nothing has to stand out for me to not enjoy this movie. So I still liked it. Not as scary as I thought it was going to be. Still, it's a horror movie. You still got your scares in there, but it definitely took a different route of horror than I thought it was originally going to go for. And I'm cool with that because obviously I didn't even really want to be that scared, and don't know if I would have seen this if we weren't reviewing it for the pod. But as someone who isn't super into horror as much as as much as Blake and Nathaniel, and hasn't seen as much and doesn't love to be scared as much as you guys, I wasn't like petrified by this movie, and that kind of says a lot about how scary it actually is. But overall, I still liked it. I agree with Ty. I'd like anything Jordan Peele has at least got his hands in. And overall, I'm probably recommend on this one.
Yeah, I'll round out the squadron here, I guess, a little bit. I really liked about 70% of this movie, and then I didn't think they nailed the landing. I found myself kind of at the end of it wishing there was an extra 15 minutes or so, or maybe just another 10. Just kind of at the end to help me understand a little bit more how things were going to go moving forward, or how what the resolution was going to be, or anything like that. It just felt a little rushed. And then the more I kind of thought about it, I agree with you, Adam. I was, I guess, expecting more scares than I got, or more well-executed scares than I got, if I could point to that. I do think some of the problems I had with this movie did come down to the directing at the end of the day. And I mean, again, it's like we've kind of, as we've talked about, it's DaCosta's, I think, second or third kind of feature even, and definitely her biggest one so far.
Sure.
So that's not, unexpected. But each one of us has kind of said something along the same lines, which is, the performances and the writing are pretty good. And then if those two check out, there's kind of only a couple more things you can look at. So yeah, it's a little bit of a disappointment, honestly. I had pretty high hopes maybe coming into this. Maybe that was, a little bit too, that's on me at the end of the day. But overall, I think I do recommend it, but it's not a one that you have to run out and see, which is a little bit of a bummer, I think. Especially, I think it hits a little bit harder, even for like me, Tyler, and Blake too, who have seen the first Candyman, and that movie is just so synonymous with Chicago in a lot of ways. Kind of a couple of the guys were talking about that at the store today too, and I just there's something a little bit missing out of this one, and it seems that some of that, a little bit of soul, almost in there or something. I don't know. Still a recommend though. I do want to say that. Blake, do you want to give your official recommend? Yes or no?
Yeah. I mean, I want to be clear. I'll still recommend it. But I think you kind of hit it on the head, or I think I just had too high of expectations.
Mm-hmm.
for this, and they didn't reach it, but like I said, by any means, it's not a terrible movie. So I would certainly still recommend it. And we can go ahead and get into spoilers and discuss further.
Are you a recommend?
Yeah, there's a stipulation to it though. I definitely recommend it, but you have to watch the first one.
Oh.
Yeah, Adam. Actually, we'll talk about that a little bit more in spoilers, I guess.
Okay, because I can talk. I mean, if there's a question you have that I can answer without spoilers, for maybe someone else listening who hasn't seen the first one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, having seen the movie, they go over a lot of the first movie's plot in this one. Did you feel like that stuck out to you, or that almost this movie kind of succeeded as a reimagining, so you could watch this having not seen the first one? Because there's a lot more tied in than I anticipated.
I definitely think you could watch this without having watched the first one. Okay. I never felt lost, really. They do make some callbacks, and I just kind of assumed, this is the first movie, and they kind of got through that. If you're listening out there and you haven't seen the first one, like I said, I don't think you absolutely have to. But it sounds like Ty and I, assuming everybody else would agree that you maybe would enjoy it more if you had.
I was gonna say I only recommend that you watch it from an appreciation standpoint, not that you needed to follow the story standpoint.
Yeah, but to answer your question, I still do think it stands pretty well on its own, and it does separate itself enough from the first one, it seems like to me, that I was never really lost. I kind of got what was going on, and it kind of created a new idea of what, for me at least, of Candyman, because I obviously haven't seen the first one. So
Sure. Yeah, it reminded me of like the Halloween original and Halloween 2018 or whatever that was when it came out here, in terms of kind of a relation to it.
Yep.
Yeah, I could definitely see that comparison. Kind of based off the quality of this one. All right, well, I think that's going to be it for the non-spoiler segment here. So if you've not seen Candyman and you do not want it spoiled for you, go ahead and check the episode description, where I've left a timestamp you can jump to, which you'll skip over spoilers and be taken to our ranking up upon the Entropy list.
Up upon.
Spoilers!
Shit goes down.
Goes down.
In and out and hookity crookedy.
Mirrors and
Hookity
bathrooms
crookedy.
and art studios.
Old hookity crookedy.
Oh, hookity crookedy.
I guess another thing you can do with a hook is just murder a bunch of people.
Sure can. Bet you didn't know that. I thought this movie looked awesome.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of body horror that I was not expecting.
Yeah. Especially
That's
towards
kind
the
of like
end.
what threw me off the most. It's just very visceral, and it doesn't shy away from it at all. There's when he slits the throat of, I think it's the female art.
Okay.
Intern?
Yeah, they just hold the shot on her bleeding out for a good 5 or 8 seconds or so. It felt like a long time. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, Candyman doesn't hold back.
No, apparently not.
That initial opening scene is scary as fuck, man.
Yeah,
with him
is.
with the actual guy in the walls, where he comes out, and man, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, you keep seeing him look out of the hole, but you can only see a shadow of him. It kept getting me.
Yeah, I kind of got that same thing too, where I almost it was in the moments that were supposed to be scary. It was almost like the pacing was off in some way, or the timing wasn't quite there, or something like that. Because there was a couple times where I just went, "Oh, that's a really arresting shot," or that's an evocative image, but I'm not really feeling the horror here too much. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah. And it's also the way the character of Candyman is, there's not going to be any jump scares. Because obviously in order for him to come around, I mean, there could be. I mean, towards the end of the film, they set it up so he's kind of a little bit more open, but all the scenes throughout most of the movie are you know when he's being summoned, so you're kind of preparing for it. And I think that could be part of the reason why we don't feel like it was as scary, and that probably why they leaned more into the body horror murder slasher kind of area of it, because they couldn't be all that like surprising scary.
Yeah, there's also like kind of, you know, there's a huge part of Candyman that we haven't really talked about a little bit, that is, you know, addressed in race, and that the location of it is Cabrini Green, which was the housing projects. That plays a huge part of the story, and like everything that goes on. The setting itself is a massive part of the story. And there's the first one has this kind of, it's focused on Helen, who is this white graduate student, how she's kind of going in and seeing the neighborhood. And this is much more focused on Anthony and his kind of return to the neighborhood. Obviously, I'm not greatly qualified to talk about any of this stuff with any sort of education, but someone who is, and who I thought was really interesting, is a film critic that I follow on Twitter. Her name's Angelica Jade, or Angelica Bastian. She's from Chicago and is a black critic. She writes for Vulture and a couple different other articles. And one of her main kind of gripes with the movie, I guess, is she felt that it was written specifically not for a black audience, but is dealing with these very black, embedded themes in there. And she felt like it like didn't really live up to those expectations of what someone who actually lived in Chicago and kind of experienced the events similar to what happened in this movie would go through. And I thought that was a really interesting kind of take to have with it, and still speaks a little bit into kind of what we're talking about too, in that like there just seems to be kind of a missed connection of the horror in this film, and kind of where it is and who it is affecting and how. That I think the first one, because it deals more directly with the horror itself rather than kind of the themes. It uses the horror to explain the themes, not the themes to explain the horror, which I think this film kind of almost gets backwards. Does that make sense to you guys?
I'm with you, and I can understand that too. Even like you said, just kind of tying in the themes and then into just kind of race and things of that nature. And the reason why it feels like it falls so short in this one, because in Jordan Peele's other two films, like it exceeds that expectation.
Sure, yeah,
right. It's like Get Out hits home at that like times 1,000, right? Us, it hits home at it pretty well too. And this, granted, obviously he's not the director, right, as we're now aware of, but you kind of still go in with, it might meet some of those qualifications. It might still be in that same box. And to everyone's kind of point, it like just misses that. We can't really finger point why, but I think that's kind of the falling part of the film.
Any other deeper thoughts for anyone else?
I was just waiting.
You got some in-depth thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, overall, like I said, I definitely like it. I think it has to do a lot with my age. The first one came out at a point where I was younger, so watching a scary movie was a little bit more taboo at that age. You were like, ooh, I'm not supposed to be doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? Right. My parents are going to be pissed.
I'm gonna wake them up later. They're gonna be so mad.
And I think I've talked about this like super early on stream, but I have like a very distinct memory of Candyman with some people that I still consider good friends of mine, and we had like a sleepover, and we were sleeping in the living room, and we turned this on, and his little brother was like, "I want to watch it with you," and we were like, "No," and he was like, "No, I'm going to watch it with you." And then we're like, "Dude, okay. Enter at your own risk." And sure as shit, he woke up like middle of the night, fucking scared out of his mind.
Oh, no. You can keep going. We're still recording.
Parents wake up. They're fucking mad that we let him watch it. And so, and like we were still like relatively young. I don't even think we were in high school yet. So.
Sure.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it was just funny to kind of see overall, but I have that fond memory. This movie, the first one, actually scared me quite well when I was that age.
Oh, I think the
And
first one's still scary to today.
Yeah.
Like in parts.
I think it does a great job.
First one is good, man.
Yeah.
And then, this one, I think on the overall fear just didn't really do it for me. And again, maybe it's just because where I'm at and, you know, how many horror movies I've seen since then.
Yeah.
And then I think this misses a lot. I think this could have done so much more with what it had. And the acting's really well. The overall writing is good, but I think the way that certain things are placed in certain areas isn't done particularly well.
I don't understand the purpose of the cheerleader or the high school girls who die.
Yeah, there's no,
like in my mind, you could cut that scene, that payoff, and insert a longer one with Burke and kind of why he's crazy and like more around the ritual to kind of turn Yaya's character Anthony into Candyman and stuff, because I felt like that was just kind of like slapdash. Okay, we're gonna hack his arm off. Yeah, like, and there wasn't like it was like there was all this build up to it, and then it was just. And we're there and it's over. Like
it's I wish they definitely would have tried and played that out a bit more to kind of show you as to how Burke has been trying to set this up,
right?
And like how he almost kind of became like a Candyman disciple, versus them just being like stick him in a church and be like, I'm crazy as shit,
right?
But yeah, again, just one of those things that I think could have been done really well. I think it was just a way to show the spread of Candyman.
Yeah, I guess.
And she was obviously at the Art Institute, so they tried to just mush that together really quick.
Right.
But yeah, there's a couple more things that
it just didn't. It felt out of place to me in the story. And Brandon brought that up as well. And then when Burke sees his sister being killed in the bathroom, and then he like looks in there and it's the new Candyman or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Does he push his face like back into like a smiling position? Like that really got me.
They did some really good things with like some really small tweaks to where it was
right.
like, ooh, I knew I was gonna keep my eye there.
Yeah.
And they did something with it, like when he pushes the door shut in the bathroom, and he's like just standing there when she wakes up from her nightmare.
Yeah.
And he pushes the door closed. His body moves, but his reflection does not.
Yeah, it's almost like a frame behind in some locations I was noticing as well. Yeah, they did a lot of really good stuff with mirrors, I thought, in this one, very much. The body horror got me, too. He's got that kind of honeycomb pattern going underneath his skin, which I if you've listened to Sandpiper tapes, you know I have a thing for things growing under your skin. And like that stuff just really
I got a weird thing for feet.
Yeah, that really freaks me out. Like I don't like that at all. So that really got me a little bit.
Yeah,
were there any standout moments for you?
I really like the fact that he was the baby.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I called it pretty early, but I still like the fact that I think that's a cool story point. Yeah.
Well, it changes the story, right? Because now Candyman just kind of always wins.
Right. And it was either he's the baby or his dad's Candyman. Those are my only two options. So, I think that was probably the biggest thing for me. Other than that,
I don't know. I kind of almost would have liked that it was like just kind of like a generational thing, almost more like It. Like it kind of came
grows with him.
And, yeah.
Or if like Burke was him. Or like if Burke was his dad.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I wish they used more Tony Todd. Like you got him at the end, and like
He's
but
just
I
so
also I get it
creepy,
too. Yahya Abdul-Mateen's very charismatic, and like I wanted him to be able to let loose a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think he could have done a really, really interesting Candyman. There's also like. We keep kind of like comparing it to the original Candyman, which is hard not to. And I think because it does tie itself so heavily to it, I was going into this expecting it to be more reimagining of Candyman than this, which is almost more of a sequel in a lot of ways. But there's also like in the first one, you got it that like Candyman was also kind of trying to bang Helen too throughout the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Like he was like there was a little bit of suaveness to him. In this one, he's just creepy as hell.
Yeah.
Which I think it just hits a little different too. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I really wanted some more Tony Todd. I feel like we missed out on like the Be My Victim.
Yeah,
Like, we
yeah.
missed out
Come
on
with
all
me
that
and be
stuff.
immortal.
Like, that's what I was
Yeah.
like, yeah. Those are kind of like my only really big
I
gripes.
really liked his final form at the end with the bees all over him and like
That was
at
cool,
the,
like,
as the
all over his
face.
head, like a
yeah,
mask.
Yeah.
that I really
That was
liked.
dope. For sure, bro.
And I liked his kind of like little speech, especially when the beginning and the end. They hit it both times. The beginning I thought was really scary, with the boy moving to his do the laundry and everything. Which, if you've seen the original Candyman, kind of harkens back to the boy in the bathroom scene, which is horrifying. That's the scariest part of that movie to me. But it kind of builds on that, and then it switches to that mid-70s Candyman or whatever they had in there. And then the bit at the end where you get to see the kind of final form Candyman, I thought were both just really, really well done, really, really well shot. The sound, actually, I will say this, in the Dolby Atmos theater, this is one of the best movies I've seen that uses that theater to the best of its abilities. The sound design in this movie was really, really good and really, really kind of spatial and creepy and weird. And I really like the soundtrack too. I don't know about if you guys.
I was gonna say that was one of the other
Yeah,
things
I
I
did
wanted
like
to touch on. The soundtrack was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my things. I've talked a lot about it. Anyone else got any kind of deeper thoughts that we might not have hit on? Adam, was there any kind of standout moments for you?
That opening scene for sure. I did like that a lot. Kind of, it's a hell of a way to start off the movie like that, and it kind of set the tone for the rest of it. As far as like, I would say my favorite kill is probably, I mean, that bathroom scene is harrowing, but I think I love that shot of the Corncob Towers where the art critic gets killed.
Oh yeah.
You see her dragged across the window. That was really cool. And then something that I as I was watching, I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting that they did this. That opening credits where they just are scrolling through the Chicago sky,
from
kind of
below.
scrolling through the loop.
Yeah.
From
Those are
below.
good
With
shots.
it's like upside down and reversed almost.
Yeah,
It was weird.
that's
it was kind of off-putting, and I just loved it, honestly.
Well, honestly, that's a pretty big callback to the opening of the original, which is
Is
a
it? Okay.
face down kind of trek from almost the loop down into like the south side Cabrini Greens area where it has but it's this great shot from above straight down on the highway. So it plays into that kind of mirror thing that you're seeing a lot at the start too. But yeah, I agree with you. I thought that looked incredible. I love that it just tied in like that, and it works on its own too, and it's really creepy and uneasy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I liked in here as well is them using Vanessa Williams as the mother in the original
Yeah.
1992, and then she was the mom in this one. That's why she kind of popped on screen, and obviously just have seen the 92 version on, was it Friday or whatever, on the flight. I was like, oh, like that's gotta be. I put it together as soon as I saw her face.
Right.
Because I'm like,
She looks
so
great.
similar.
She looks like she hasn't aged at all.
No, that's why I was able to
Yeah,
figure
not
it
a
out too. So yeah, I think that was cool. There's also a few more tie-ins to the first one. Obviously, they have kind of Helen's name on a ton of things.
Well, you hear her
When,
voice.
yeah, that you hear her voice. The voice or that scene that they're playing is when she goes to school and she's kind of taking notes on like the janitors.
Yeah,
there, and
yeah,
she
yeah,
asks the
exactly.
janitor like, "Hey, what happened?" Yeah, and like so like they played that whole scene. But having just watched, like I said, the original, like you pick up on that stuff so quick.
Right,
And
exactly.
I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. I like when they did stuff like that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've been like picking on this movie a lot, but we did all enjoy it. It's just I think maybe went in with a little bit too high of expectations. Maybe for
That's
some
exactly
of us.
what I was about to say. I think it just didn't meet our expectations, and that's why we're kind of a little low on it. But it's still a good movie. All right, well, it sounds like that's gonna be it for the spoiler segment
Let's see
here,
where it
guys. So
ranks.
welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're gonna go ahead and rank Candyman up upon the entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of every movie we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. This is essentially how we rate our movies, rather than giving it out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever it is. We're going to throw all of the movies we review up on a list and see how they compare to one another. If you'd like to reference the Entropy list for yourself, you can do so by heading to the episode description where it is linked to my Letterboxd. Candyman. Considering I have a mirror to the left of me, I will not be saying that 2 more times.
Yeah, that's a good thing that we should talk about. Anyone saying this ever in a mirror, ever.
I actually think that after we saw it as kids, we did it.
Yeah.
And when I walked into the bathroom at the AMC after the movie, I looked at the mirror and I just pointed at myself. I was like, not today.
No. You know better. Clive Barker, the guy who wrote the original short story that this is based off of, and one of kind of the famous 80s horror writers, he features in as a clip for Candyman in kind of a series that I've talked about a lot on the podcast called the 100 Scariest Movie Moments, which was like kind of the big thing that got me into horror as a kid. Was this 5-hour program they had on Bravo TV that was literally a countdown of 100 scary movie moments, and Candyman was on there, and he talks about in the segment about how his dentist will say Candyman in the mirror to get his kids to go to sleep when they're like wanting to stay up, and he's like, I never have to get past saying the third Candyman.
That's actually really smart.
He just uses it as a threat. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm never. No thanks.
I'm out.
All right, boys. Entropy list time. I have been taking a look at this list, and I think I know where I'm putting it.
Tell us.
Slide it in at 43, right below Blind Spotting and above Army of the Dead.
Man, I'm with you, Adam.
Yeah?
Same exact spot. Yep.
43?
I was thinking, yeah. I was like, no way in hell. Well, yeah. I was like,
No way in hell is it going. Yeah, I was about to say, The Descent and Blind Spotting, it ain't cracking that.
Right.
And then kind of looking at the movies below that, I don't love Army of the Dead, and it's actually kind of in the same spot where I was like, hey, yeah, it's good. It's fine.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
I know that's the one that always tricks
Yeah,
me
that
up
one's a
around
little.
there.
Yeah,
Trick or
and Quiet
Treat.
Place Part 2 is a little low.
Yeah, Trick or
as
Treat
well, but
too. I know, Tyler. I know.
What do you guys think?
I actually had it in the exact same spot, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on record, Trick or Treat and Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I think they should be higher on the list. But I did kind of exactly what you guys did, too. I saw The Conjuring 2 first jumped out at me, and I went, definitely worse than that. Then next horror movie I saw, Insidious. I was like, that's contender, I guess. And then I saw The Descent down there, and I just went, nope. And so then Blind Spotting, and then I think there's a pretty big gap between Blind Spotting and Army of the Dead. And boom, that's where I had this guy. Tyler?
Not that it really matters that much, because it sounds like 43 is
Whoa,
kind of a
whoa.
lock,
Maybe he'll change my mind. He can always convince us.
Minds.
Yeah, man. I think I'm gonna have to go to like 51.
Oh, so you really thought it was just all right?
Yeah. Trick or Treat is just it's a better film in my opinion, and it's more fun, and you could still have fun while having kind of that horror aspect. And I don't think this quite does it for me. I think I like the first one just so much more than this, and this had so much potential that I just don't think that it really hit the nail on the head for me. Not that it did for you guys either. It's not like this thing's, breaking our top 10 or anything like that. But, yeah, I think it just missed the mark a little bit more for me overall as far as what I kind of look for in a horror film. And you guys know how I feel about Trick or Treat, so.
True.
So you're putting it below or above Trick or Treat?
Below.
Okay, so 52.
51.
Yeah.
52.
Trick or Treat's 50 right now. Wonder Woman's 51.
You know what? I messed it up. I already put Candyman at 43 in my subtotal rankings. 51. All right. Do you guys want to put it at 43, or do we want to consider Tyler's low ranking somewhere in there? Because typically we've done in the past 3 out of 4 is like, all right, that's where it's going. But
True.
considering how low and how off the mark Tyler's is from ours,
I mean, I'm
I
okay
could-
with putting it below Ma Rainey's if you want to put it just above Mortal Kombat. Oh, well, I forget about Army of the Dead. Oh man.
yeah.
But I mean, Army of the Dead I liked. I mean, I think Army of the
Yeah,
Dead's
I don't mind Army of the Dead.
a little bit
I'm
more
with you.
fun than this. I mean, I'm okay with putting it at 45 to assuage Tyler's low ranking there.
That's fine.
45 below Ma Rainey's and above Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Adam?
All right, I can live with that. I still think 43 is kind of the perfect spot for it because you said, Nathaniel, there's kind of a gap between Blind Spotting and Army of the Dead. But Tyler, I will of course take your opinion into account here. So 45 is where Candyman is falling, right below Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and above Mortal Kombat.
Ranked.
And that's 45
Ranked.
out of 67 here, listeners. 67 movies on the Entropy list. Well, it's time to wind us down here. So our review for next week is going to be Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, coming out this Friday.
What episode number is that?
It's episode 69.
I don't know. What is it?
Nice.
There it is. Some would say maybe more important than in episode 50.
Our nicest episode.
Very nice.
Or our nastiest.
We're only gonna get one episode 69 until we'll get to like episode 169, but it just won't be the same.
Well, it's 69 part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Oh, we could do that. I'm down. We'll have to play with that in 100 or so
Electric
episodes.
Boogaloo cannot be the sequel for everything.
It's the best one.
All right. Well, that's gonna be our review for next week. So go ahead and check out Shang-Chi.
I think that's
And join us
only
for
in
our review.
theaters, right?
I believe that is also only in theaters. Yeah, I think Black Widow would be the last Marvel movie to do the early access.
Cool.
I'm trying to confirm right now.
I mean, I think it may come back later on in the year too, depending how the
Potentially.
old Delta runs itself around. But we'll see.
Yep, it is going to be only in theaters.
Cool. We'll check that out in theaters.
In the theater. Nathaniel, do we have a 5-star review?
We do not, but I do know that we have it, or at least I have it on good authority that we got an email.
We do have an email. It's from a alleged listener, an alleged number 1 listener, Brandon Wozni.
Oh yes,
He says-
this is reference to me and you, Tyler. Apparently, I screwed you up.
He said, "Hey gang, number 1 fan here. Just need to clarify one thing. Firefly is both the name of the show and the class of ship, i.e. Battlestar, X-Wing, USS Deep Space Vessel 1701. The Serenity is the name of the movie and specific ship, i.e. Galactica, Boba Fett's Slave 1, the Enterprise. It's named after the series' famous battle." And then he asks, "What is your favorite spaceship in any form of media?" Which I thought is actually a very fun question.
Oh man. I don't even know if I could name a spaceship in any form of media.
I mean, an X-Wing's got to
crazy.
be up there.
Yeah,
Oh,
X-Wing
yeah.
is an easy go-to.
What is that from? That
Star
sounds
Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the ship in Star Trek?
Starship Enterprise.
The Enterprise.
Growing up, I always wanted to pilot an X-wing. Obviously, I wanted to fly an
Me too.
X-wing more than I wanted to fly the Millennium Falcon. But Woz
Oh,
actually,
me too.
actually asked me this question the other day, but he phrased it as like, "You get into space and you can have any ship that you want. Which do you want it to be?" And I was like, for some reason, my mind went the Black Pearl, and so
Hilarious.
I could only think of just flying a
Treasure Island.
yeah, or Treasure Planet.
Yeah, Treasure Planet. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, flying the Black Pearl through space, and I thought, that's awesome.
It's got, like,
Space
those
Ghost
solar
Pirates.
sails.
Yeah. So Blake, you can join me on the Black Pearl if you want, since you're not a big
do it.
sci-fi guy.
Be his first mate.
Huh.
I'll let you be co-captain. You could be Commodore. I don't know, or what else? You could be Admiral Blake.
Hey, what was the
Big Admiral Blake.
True.
There we go. And Adam might know the answers, but what's the spacecraft name in? We were talking about Black Mirror earlier. I think, what is it like? Is it season 3, episode 1? Where he like uploads like the people's like DNA to like the video game.
Oh, the Jesse Plemons episode.
Yeah.
It's like a
I
Star
don't
Trek
remember.
ripoff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Star Trek
Okay.
ripoff. I don't remember
Okay.
the name of that ship though.
I'm just kind of thinking of the few I can think of off the top.
There are
of
some
my
other
head, and, like,
spaceships that are out there. There's obviously Firefly, Serenity. That's a pretty cool one.
I mean,
He says any form of media. There's some cool spaceships in Halo.
True.
You got the Covenant Cruiser.
True.
You got there's another one you fly in Halo Reach that's pretty dope.
You could always do the
You got
alien
the
one.
Banshee.
That's just a big truck, or
Yeah.
the 2001: A Space Odyssey.
does the TARDIS count?
I would say so. I mean, if
I mean,
If the Black Pearl counts.
TARDIS is up there. That thing will take you anywhere.
Anywhere, anytime.
I think I just gotta go with the X-wing. I don't know if I haven't like the Enterprise would be cool, but like, man, pilot an X-wing that'd be awesome.
Ooh, Blake, I don't think it has an official name, but the spaceship from Arrival, you can cruise in that thing.
Oh yeah, the big pod,
Ooh.
The egg.
Yeah.
the big kidney bean. Yeah.
Let's just go with the egg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got a couple cool ones in like Avengers too. The Milano's pretty neat.
Yeah, the Milano's sick.
Yeah, Milano's cool.
There's a lot.
I'm trying to think of some other. I mean, you could go back to Star Wars with like a Star Destroyer. Those are pretty dope.
True.
I think Star Destroyers are
What
cool.
about Voltron? What are they driving? Voltron, the Lions. Are those spaceships too? Can they take those in space?
I think those are more like,
Just armored mech suits.
yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, if we're counting the Black Pearl,
True. Blame Waz's phrasing on that one. You could have any ship in the world, what would it be? Black Pearl.
Black Pearl.
Obviously.
Idiot. Ooh, the RV
mean-
from Spaceballs.
Okay, fair enough.
Are there any good anime spaceships?
The Bebop, Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I
The
was gonna say
Bebop's
there's
sick.
a lot of them.
What else would there be out there?
Ooh, Discovery 1 from 2001: Space Odyssey.
That's what I was gonna say. That would be another big one, obviously. The Interstellar ship.
And the Endurance.
Yeah, the Endurance.
Yeah.
What's the one they use in Sunshine? That was a cool ship. Have you seen Sunshine?
Sunshine.
I've not seen Sunshine.
I don't think so.
It's a Danny Boyle one. That's a really good movie. You guys would like that, actually. That might be a movie for the pod at some point.
What's it called?
Prometheus.
Oh yeah, the Prometheus one's pretty cool. The big horseshoe.
Mm-hmm.
It's called
Oh, yeah,
Sunshine.
I was gonna say the one from the second Predator, where you finally go into it and you see where it has all like, the skeletons.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know the name of it.
Yeah, that's a good one too. You kind of get the three iconic shapes, right? That's like either a triangle, a circle,
Or a dick.
or yeah, or a big dick. Yeah, there's not too much variation in the spaceship game.
Cool. Well, thanks for your email, Waz. Thanks for the clarification and the fun little banter question. If you want to submit your own little banter question, you can do so by sending us an email at backrowbanterpod@gmail.com.
Yeah,
We'd
but-
love to get your questions. We'd love to answer them.
We love the questions, but new rule on the questions. If you're going to ask a question, you have to answer your own question, because now I want to know what Waz's number one ship would be. And I do live with
he
him, but
nearby?
I will never ask. It's over now. He won't.
Okay.
He didn't ask at the time, and now I've created a new rule. So
Also, the ship from Aliens name is the Nostromo.
yeah, the Nostromo.
Well, that's been Ship Talk here. Let's go ahead and close this out. Please share the podcast. Share with a friend, a family member, maybe a monster hiding in the mirror. Maybe just summon him and be like, hey, I don't want to, bother you, but let's just hang out and listen to some back row banter,
If you're listening to the podcast in the mirror, make sure that your mirror self is also listening to the podcast, because we need that download.
Double viewership.
Yeah,
Double
exactly.
viewership. Yes, that's very smart.
It's a quick and easy way to double your listeners. And if you get more mirrors, you will have more self. So really, this could be pretty exponential for us. This is a big
I
moment.
think you just cracked a big marketing opportunity for us, Nathaniel.
Thank you. No one else can take that, so sorry,
Yeah.
listeners.
I'll cut it. I'll cut it.
This
Don't
is a
worry.
Back Row exclusive.
All right. And then also follow the show. You can do so on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and on YouTube. It's just Back Row Banter. Please go subscribe to us there, even if it is not your primary place of listening. We'd love your subscription. It's free. And I know you have a YouTube account. Everyone does. So, just hit that subscribe button. Maybe check us out
You're
on
born
YouTube
with it
every once in a while.
nowadays, I think.
What'd you say?
I think you're born with a YouTube account nowadays. Or at least
Yeah,
a Gmail.
I think it comes with your birth certificate.
Yeah, it's social
That
security.
in a Amazon Prime account.
Yep, both.
Yeah. All right. BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Letterboxd. That'll be BlakeHolder. I'll be on there logging some things. This week was slow due to travel, but I should be able to get back on there and knock some more things down off the watch list, and we'll keep it moving. So Letterboxd, BlakeHolder, and we'll popcorn Nathaniel.
Yo, you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at @nsgingrich. You can find me on Instagram at NathanielG92. Follow my other podcast, the Sandpiper Tapes, referenced in this episode. Season 2 coming soon. I'm writing all day tomorrow. I've already decided. Tomorrow will be a writing day for me, so that'll be fun. Get hopefully a couple episodes kind of fleshed out a little bit, and start recording those soon. But yeah,
Question for you, Nathaniel.
answer for you, Adam.
What is your primary method of writing? Do you use do you type it out or do you handwrite?
Man, it's kind of been interesting. I've actually starting with this kind of series been trying to change my style of writing. But yeah, I'm a typer. I never really got into the handwriting side of things. I think I was kind of just on the generation out of that. But yeah, sitting at a desk with a lamp is definitely my writing comfort zone. But I traditionally I've kind of written from a scene-based thing first, as in like I'll come up with an idea or something will come to me, and then I'll kind of play that out and then write based off that. I'm trying this season to do a little bit more different and kind of start with different themes I want to hit or different characters I want to build from the ground up, and then kind of build it a little bit more that way. So it's been interesting. It's tough to kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit with that. But unfortunately, the other way of doing things is just not very quick. So I burned a lot of the stories that I kind of had built up for Sandpiper Tapes last year, and now we got to start over. So if I tried to do it that way, it would take too long. But yeah, does that kind of answer it a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun so far though. But yeah,
Is it
Tyler, get us out of here.
Where can you find me?
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. Twitch.tv/Ultrabajo, ELTRABAJO 87. I do stream there sometimes. Hopefully going to get some things going after I get back from vacation this weekend. So that'll be dope. Also, Instabox. God, why do I do that? Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter, all the same. Tyler Vidalis, Vidales. Jesus.
It's a side effect of 30.
Almost 31.
Instabox is a great name for an app.
I agree.
Let's trademark it in case we need it.
Someone's got to have that already, right?
Probably.
Adam?
You can find me on Letterboxd at Aish and on Twitter at Aish24. That's going to be it here for episode 68, Candyman. Join us next week for episode 69.
Nice.
We'll BRB.
Hey, everyone, be excellent to each other, and we will BRB.
Please like, comment, subscribe. Do whatever you got to do to help us grow. We really appreciate anything that you can do. Maybe, just tell someone. That's the biggest way that we spread is word of mouth. So we definitely appreciate anything that you do for us. And we just appreciate you stopping by and listening. If you're a regular, yeah, we love you. But yeah, be good to one another. You never know where somebody's at in their journey. Just kind of spread that happiness, and we'll BRB.
Yeah, thanks for listening. As always, everybody continue to stay positive. Have a good week. Keep putting your best foot forward. And can make sure you do at least one thing that you love every day. Because if you do that, you're living right. We'll BRB.
So Blake, how many rows were you from Tyler?
I don't know, maybe 3. I walked in, I was like, oh shit, that looks like Ty. Then like as I like walked up like a few steps, and I realized it was him.
Yeah, at first I caught you out of the corner of my eye. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's other people in
Yeah.
here. And then you got
That
closer,
gentleman
and I was
looks
like,
familiar.
oh shit, I was like, what's up?
So yeah, it was cool. Not bad. I figured it'd be like a super not packed theater, or empty, I should just say.
For sure.
Did you see it over the weekend, Nathaniel?
I saw it yesterday.
Okay. How was your showing?
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was probably 10 other people in there with me, and that was in the
Okay.
Dolby Theater.
Right.
Which, you know, R-rated horror movie, middle of the
Exactly.
summer, COVID. Like, I'm lucky that it was in Atmos. Really, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Adam, when did you get to see Candyman?
Saw it Saturday night
In the theater?
at the theater. Pretty packed theater actually. It's like
Really?
half full, it was one of the more packed theaters that I've been to since the pandemic. Besides maybe F9. Actually,
kinda good to
and
hear, though.
Maybe Green Room.
Yeah,
'cause
no,
Green Room's pretty packed
That
too.
makes
But
sense.
or sorry, not Green Room. The Green Knight.
I was gonna say Green Room. Whoa,
Yeah.
you saw that in
No, Green Room.
theaters? Awesome.
Yeah. No, the Green Knight. Those two were fairly full, but this one, I mean, I would say for the theater out here, which is usually not that full.
Right.
This is probably the most packed theater I've seen at that movie theater.
Cool.
Yeah.